Alex Ovechkin has done it. He has now passed Wayne Gretzky to become the all-time leading goal scorer in the NHL. And there have been a ton of videos posted about how impressive and incredible it is to see history being made today, which is what happened, and how impressive it is that Alex Ovechkin managed to break a record of the great one, Wayne Gretzky, whose records were previously thought to be unbreakable. Even Ovechkin himself, a few years ago, said he didn't think that anybody would ever be able to top Gretzky's 894 goals, which was then the record. But today I want to talk about another question that I think really needs to be asked, and that is, where does Ovechkin rank among the greatest hockey players of all time? And to me, the answer is very clearly in the top 5. And I don't think he's number 5. I've talked previously about just how impressive Ovechkin's goal-scoring prowess has been over his career, how he was so dominant in an era where goal-scoring was so hard to do, and how he managed to maintain that goal-scoring pace into the later part of his career by changing his game, which is something I don't think gets appreciated that much. I think a lot of people, especially younger and newer fans, have this image of Ovechkin as being a statue who's only shooting from his office at all times. When you go back and watch his highlights from when he was younger, he was an incredible playmaker with the puck. Deadly in space, scored a ton of beautiful goals off of the rush. He was basically unguardable in a one-on-one situation. His stick handling was incredible, and his vision and ability to manipulate space was incredible then and only got better with age as his legs slowed down, and so he shifted to become more of a net front presence. And he was able to do that because he is such a, excuse my language, fucking physical specimen. This guy might not be an Adonis on the beach, but he is just an impossible motherfucker to move off of the ice. He hits people like a bulldozer, even now in his older age. And when he was younger, he was still running people over just with the reckless abandon of a puma, leaping into every hit that he saw. The fact that he is number 3 on the all-time hits list, which I know is a bit of a janky record since it wasn't an officially tracked stat until about 2007, but the fact that he has played such a physically imposing style, not only managed to keep playing at a high level, but avoid injury is just remarkable. Coaches always say your best ability is availability, and Alex Ovechkin has been one durable player, despite the fact that he's one of the most physical players of all time. Another reason that I think gets overlooked when talking about his greatness is something I brought up a number of times, which is the lack of support he's had throughout his career. Now, when Crosby broke Wayne Gretzky's record for the most point per game seasons, he got a ton of praise, and deservedly so, but people tended to ignore the fact that right below him on that list with 15 straight point per game seasons was his own teammate Evgeny Malkin. Obviously, it's a lot easier to rack up a lot of points, especially a lot of assists, when you have other really good players that you can play with, who can take the defense's attention off of you, and who can just finish opportunities better than Joe's six-pack. Malkin himself had 15 seasons of point per game production. Do you know the number of times that Alex Ovechkin has had any player on his team have a point per game season? 14. Evgeny Malkin's also put up 300-point seasons in his career. Ovechkin's only had a teammate break 100 points one time, Nicholas Backstrom, back in 2009-2010. He's never played with another 50-goal scorer in his career and has only played with a 40-goal scorer one time, that being 2009-2010 Alex Semin. Ovechkin spent the entire career having to be the guy for his team. There was nobody else who's going to be able to take the load off of him or take away a defense's attention. It was always going to be his team, and all eyes were going to be on stopping him, and despite that, he has finished more goals than any other player in NHL history. And yeah, he's played with a lot of really good players like Backstrom and Carlson, Mike Green, Oshie, Kuznetsov, now Tom Wilson and Dylan Strome. But he's never had a Malkin, a Draisaitl, a Messier, a Yager, or Lemieux, depending on who you think is higher up in that hierarchy. He's done this all with such joy and exuberance, it's hard not to admire the guy, especially when you consider that since he's come into the league, he has faced, let's be quite honest here, a lot of xenophobia, and was pretty early on cast in the villain role of the rivalry between him and Crosby. Every time the Caps didn't go past the second round or came up short in the playoffs, there were calls from a lot of media members to trade Ovechkin, that the Caps would be better off without him, that they would never win with him as their captain. Criticisms that other Canadian and American players just never had to deal with, partially because of his attitude on and off the ice. And despite all of that, he persevered to become the greatest goal scorer in NHL history, win a Stanley Cup, win more Rocket Richards than any other player in the NHL, tied for the most MVPs of any active NHL player, more first team and second team all NHL appearances. The list of his accolades just goes on and on. So if you want to tell me that he doesn't deserve to be a top 5 NHL player of all time because he didn't get enough assists, despite the fact that he never played with a player who could realistically finish at an elite pace, or he wasn't a great defensive player despite the fact that he played a position is not that demanding in his own zone, but played with enough physicality and acumen to at least not be a liability for most of his career, well, I don't know what to tell tell you. He's the greatest goal scorer that's ever walked the face of the earth, and in a game like hockey where all that matters is scoring more goals than the other team, there's really not that much else you need to be great.